Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of I Was There Last Night, because I was there last night. Let me show you this ticket here to the show. Last night, August 14th, at the Boulder Theater in Boulder, Colorado, I saw Seether featuring Letters from the Fire and Big Story. I am dedicating this episode to my beloved friend Tracy, who was supposed to go with me to the show. Unfortunately, she passed away last month suddenly, far too young to leave this world. And I know she was there in spirit, and Seether is certainly a fitting band for tribute to lost ones. The Boulder Theater is a good choice as a venue for this band because it's not too big, it's not too small. It's a good size for a band like this. And it was a mixed crowd as well, with people from all generations, and I think they were treated to a very good show. It was also sold out, so nicely done. The first band up was Big Story. Now, I had not heard of this band before they were announced on this tour. They have a sort of alt-rock, arena rock sound to them, kind of like a band like Incubus or Chevelle. Their vocalist has a very strong range and volume that he frequently liked to show off. He would sing away from the mic a bit in order to really show off his vocal range. The band did have a few guitar solos peppered in, especially in the last couple of songs. My favorite song probably would be I Can Be Your Love. That was like my favorite. Although the closing song, Ravish, was also a lot of fun. It was a good way for them to go out with some energy. This band certainly has the potential to break out and gain a larger following. They have the sound. It's just going to matter, can they ride the charisma of their lead singer in order to gain a bit more recognition. But going on tour with a band like Seether, that certainly helps their reputation. So the next band up was Letters from the Fire. Now this is a band, I've only heard a couple of songs from them, so basically they're new to me. And they actually were a little bit different than I thought they were. They're more of a goth metal hard rock band, kind of reminiscent of somebody like Lacuna Coil or Evanescence, or even a little bit of Dead Sarah. Now they came out and they just crushed it. They started right off the bat with a lot of head-banging worthy tunes. Their bass player especially seemed to be having a lot of fun. He was really getting the crowd fired up. He was having a great time. They also have a really sick lead guitarist. The guy threw out a few solos throughout the show and just nailed them. To date, they only have one studio album, so all the songs they played came from this one album. And a few of them I had heard, and some of them just sounded excellent. Songs like Mother Misery and Last December and At War. My favorite though was probably the title track of the album, Worth the Pain. That song had a lot of fury, a lot of energy, and they had a lot of fun playing it. It was, in simple terms, fun. I really wasn't sure what to expect from this band. Again, I'd only heard a few songs, so I didn't really have a good grasp on their sound, but what they played, I enjoyed the hell out of it. And hopefully they build on this sound in the future because it's a really solid sound and it's something that I really dig. Bands like Lacuna Coil I love those bands. So to hear stuff like that, which is what Letters from the Fire really gave us last night, that stuff is up my alley and I hope that they continue to build on that sound. Headliner of the night, the main course as you will, was Seether. This is a band I have not seen in 12 years. The last time I saw them was at a festival show in Dayton, Ohio back in 2005. And honestly, it was not that great of a show because there were a lot of factors involved there, including what looked like a strung out Amy Lee making an appearance on stage. But their music has been constant on my playlist. I have been listening to them pretty much without fail ever since they released Disclaimer back in like 2002. They are one of the most consistent bands out there in rock. They just always produce great music. And with a catalog like theirs, with 7 albums and just innumerable hits from those albums, there's no way I was going to walk away from the show dissatisfied. In fact, someone threw a bra on stage and Sean incorporated it into the act. He wore it while they were playing. I think he wore it while playing Truth. There were a few points where they should have changed their name to Seizure instead of Seether because their light show was intense throughout the show, and there were a few times where basically it was just a giant strobe light and just the crowd is like mesmerized by this band. Their stage show is a little bit weird, but that's just because, they really just came out and they played their music. There was no break in the music. Even between songs, there was something playing, whether it was a recording, whether someone was just kind of playing around with the guitar. There's always music going on during their set. There wasn't a lot of schmoozing with the crowd. It was just straight music. Sometimes that was actually also a fake out because you couldn't tell what was coming next. You thought, oh, this is going to be a fast, intense song, and then it was something like Fine Again. So they really were just kind of playing around with people with that music in between the songs, but it was constant music. I was a little surprised that they didn't play very much from Poison the Parish, their latest album, because this is the supporting tour for that album. They did open the show with Stoke the Fire, which I thought was a good choice because that's an awesome opener for the album. and it certainly got people fired up for the show, so to speak. The crowd obviously was there for Seether. They loved Seether because they were singing along the whole time. When they played crowd pleasers like Fake It and Remedy, Fine Again, Rise Above This, obviously people knew those songs by heart. There was also a ton of energy for songs like Nobody Praying for Me and Country Song. I was really happy they played Nobody Praying for Me. That's probably my favorite song off of Isolate and Medicate. They also did an interesting rendition of Broken. It was still acoustic, but it was even slower and was a little more abstract than the song it is itself, so I enjoyed that. They played some other just great ones, including Truth, Breakdown, Gasoline. I mean, their whole set was a great mix across their albums, so it wasn't like they focused on one or leaned on one album. They played from all of their albums, which is obviously an awesome thing for them to do, because they have so many hits. My favorites might have been Words as Weapons, which was the first, seizure-induced song, or Let You Down, which is my favorite song from Poison the Parish, but it just sounded awesome live. Realistically, this was a no-nonsense set, although there was a little bit of nonsense throughout. But that's because they are a band who plays music. They just love playing their music. And it also showcased why this band has been consistently crushing it for so long. They just go out there, they play their stuff, and the crowd reacts, and the crowd absolutely was on fire. Overall, it's clear that the crowd was there for Seether, and of course, why shouldn't they be? It's Seether. But they gave plenty of love to Big Story and Letters from the Fire, even if they didn't really know who these bands were. Personally, I loved Letters from the Fire. I thought they were just awesome, and their sound is right up my alley. But these two bands were almost yin and yang in terms of sound and attitude. But it fit Seether so perfectly because even Seether themselves have that heavy side, but also that lighter, that more melodic, emotional side to them. So it was just a good mix of bands. My only criticism for the crowd was the lack of patience. I get that you want to hear music, but 30 minutes of build-up before the headliner is pretty standard. That's normal. But all I could hear was, why aren't they starting the show yet? It's like, because it's the headliner. They gotta build it up a little bit. That might have been because it's also a Monday night. For a Monday night, though, this was a fun, energetic show that delivered on all levels, especially Seether, that lit up the stage from the moment they stepped on. If you were there last night, let me know your thoughts on the show. What were your favorite songs that Seether played? What did you think of the opening bands, Big Story and Letters from the Fire? And if you weren't there, watch some clips. And that does it for this episode of I Was There Last Night, and I'll see you guys again soon. Bye-bye. Show Hey, you made it to the end of the video. Nice work. Good job. If you like what you saw, you can just go ahead and click that subscribe button for all videos past and future. You can also head over to my website and see all the other stuff that I do, including the books I've written. So go ahead, click stuff.